Welcome to the Wealth Twins podcast, episode number 17. Today, we're going to talk about all the places your money should go when you get paid. So, Nicole, what are one of the places you think your money should go when you first get paid?
Okay, I guess I'm starting it off today. Hi,
Yes, you
everyone.
are. That's my
Um,
way of throwing it into your court. So, go ahead.
okay, thanks. The first thing I think, the first thing you need to do before we even talk about places or where your money needs to go when you get paid, I think the first thing that has to happen is your mindset. Okay, you have to be able to think about your mindset when you get paid. And you have to ask yourself a question. Do you want to actually benefit from the work that you've done during that week or 2 weeks or so, whatever that pay cycle is? Or do you want to be a middleman? Okay, because I think when we're talking about this, and by the way, I don't think this is going to be a budgeting show today. I think this is going to be a little bit deeper, and mindset is going to be play a part of this. So the first thing you got to decide is, do you want to benefit from the money you make, or do you want to be a middleman? Now, why do I say that? It's because you deserve to be compensated for the work you do. But so many times people are working just to pay bills. And when you do that, you're basically a middleman because everyone is getting paid but you, if all you're doing is sitting around working so that you can pay your bills. So if you want to actually benefit from actually the work that you do, the first thing you got to do in the first place you should do, first place your money should go when you get paid is to yourself.
I agree with that because I think one of the biggest mindset shifts that I had was when I was living check to check. And I will admit, I was living check to check in New York City, and I had no problem because I knew my next paycheck would come in and cover everything. But
Oh,
when
there's
my
a
mind,
problem with thinking like that because you think
it,
your job is safe.
I agree. But after I seen how much money I could save if I actually started being more mindful where my money was going, it made a huge difference. And this is what changed me from living check to becoming a millionaire. And it's simple changes that you can do. So one of the first things I did to start paying myself first was that I set up multiple bank accounts. And I started automating things so that I took myself out of the process. Because I'm going to tell you right now, when it comes to many things, I don't like to be the person who's being a bottleneck. And my thing is, the more you can automate, the less likely things will go off the rails and the less likely things have to depend on you. So, what I mean by automate, I think if you can set it up so that when your paycheck hits your checking account and you can automate it so that it goes into different areas, you are ahead of the game. And one of the areas that I made sure that when the money hit my checking account was to put money into my savings account. And I'm going to tell you this, a lot of people say, pay yourself first, but listening to it and actually taking action on it are two different things. So you want to set up that the money in your checking account sends a percentage to your savings account to at least cover 3 months worth of living expenses.
About that, you weren't talking about the actual money amount. I think the bigger scheme that we need to talk about, and the reason why I said this wasn't a budgeting episode, was because what you say, what you're saying is basically the word allocation. How
Yes.
you allocating your paycheck. Now, a lot of people say pay yourself first. I said it, you said it. So let's really talk about it. You said you're giving yourself into your savings account. I want to go even deeper than that because I don't believe you should just be saving for emergencies. I've said this before in previous videos. I think more life is more complex, more layers to it. And I believe if you're going to save for yourself, you should be saving for happy occasions as well as emergencies. So when I say pay yourself first, yes, I'm allocating a certain amount of money to myself first before I'm paying all my bills. Now, that amount that you can allocate is going to differ depending on how many bills you have, how many outstanding things you owe, right? And how many expenses you have. But the first thing you have to understand is that you have to allocate money to yourself. And this is going back. Do you deserve to be compensated for the time you work? The way I see this is based on an older coworker of mine. When I first started, she told me from the very beginning, Nicole, whenever you make $1, save a dime. And that's a very simple thing she told me, and it's very powerful, right? Because everyone should be able, no matter how much you're making, you should be able to save at least 10 cents for every dollar you make. So if you want to make it even, simpler than that, you have to ask yourself, is your time worth the dime? Okay? So 10% has to go to yourself, and you can break that up. You can put that into savings for emergency. You can put that into savings for what I call a sunshine fund. something where you're putting money away for something fun that's going to happen. You don't know when it's going to happen in the future, but you want some money put aside for some fun activity, maybe a trip, maybe a special night out with friends. But set something aside to make you happy to be saving. But it has to be something for yourself before you put the money towards your bills.
I should have gotten a little more granular in this. I completely agree with you. And the way that I do this, I have multiple savings accounts, right? People might think it's over too much, but I have at least five savings accounts and they're for different purposes. One, I don't call it a sunshine fund, I call it Nadia's fun money. That means I can spend it on whatever I want to spend it on. My next one I have for my kids' activities. I put savings into my kids' activities. So if they ask me for something or they need lessons, extracurricular activities like my daughter plays the flute, I pay for her flute lessons out of that. And I have other savings accounts just for maintenance on my houses, maintenance on my cars, any expenses that I don't want to have to be surprised if I need to get that amount of money out. So I have savings like that. But I will give you a caveat. You cannot do this unless you have a good handle on what your expenses are for on a month to month basis, right? So when I talk about expenses, I'm not talking about all the nice to haves, like you want to plan out going out to dinner like that. I'm talking about make sure your rent or your mortgage is covered. Make sure that your transportation is covered. Make sure your utilities is covered. Make sure any debt that you have to pay off is covered. Then you start breaking out this stuff into these savings accounts. So if you have a good handle on that and you track that for at least 2 to 3 months and you know this is how much I have to have left over in order to pay these things, setting up your savings accounts in an automated way in order to put it in these different buckets works very well.
I mean, I agree with you when it comes to what you should definitely do first when you get paid. The essential expenses need to come out first,
Yeah,
right? But I still like, even if you don't have a good handle on your expenses, I still say save money for yourself first because it's going to force you to do another action. It's going to force you to actually be the one that has to take money away from yourself, from your hopes, your dreams, and your emergencies and then send it out to somewhere else because that will actually show you that you're being a middleman. So even if you don't keep the money in those different savings accounts, the act of you actually having to take that money out of that account and give it to somewhere else is going to hurt you a little more than just saying, I didn't save it from the very beginning and just letting it go out the door. I think that's a real big key into understanding hey, I just made myself suffer for some other companies or someone else's benefit. And if I don't like that feeling, then the next time I get paid, before the next time I get paid, what can I do? What little change can I do so I at least get to keep some of the money to myself? So I still believe that you should always allocate your funds and then you realize again that simple action of taking out to pay those expenses is going to hurt you a little more.
I agree. I think we look at it different ways, but I essentially agree. I think it's that will help you be more mindful of your money. So you can do it either way. And if you're looking for bank accounts that allow you to do this easily and don't charge you any fees, Capital One is an easy one that does this. And I think Ally Bank also does. And we're not affiliated anyway with them, but look into it, see if you can set these up. Now we're
I would
going
say definitely it'd be Capital One 360. I'm not sure
to
how different they are from the brick and mortar stores, but Capital One 360 allows you to have different savings account, which you can actually label and give a name to, and actually directly put money into each one of those accounts. And they have no minimum and they have no fees associated with that, like maintenance fees for that.
I agree. So now we got the savings accounts covered, right? Where else would you put your money? Me, I start using putting placing my money into my investment accounts. Now, when I say investment accounts, let's make it a given that any of your retirement accounts should the money go into your retirement accounts like your 401k or anything that's equivalent should happen before you get paid. So that's a given. If you're not doing that, at least make sure that you're putting in up to the match of your company when it comes to your retirement plans that your company is sponsoring for you, right? But after that, I want you to start investing in other accounts. Now, this could be a Roth IRA and this can be a brokerage account. Those are important because not only are you saving now in your savings accounts, and if those are savings accounts, make sure they're high yield savings accounts, right? But you're also going to start saving towards your future. I look at those accounts like my Roth IRA or my brokerage accounts as supercharging my savings and allowing me to do more with my money in the present time than I would be able to do in just my regular checking on my savings account. So the next place I think your money should be going is into your investment accounts. Think about it. If you have a way that you can risk a little bit of your money for a higher reward, you should look at this. And I'm not saying that you have to take big risks, because there's a lot of securities you can buy that are pretty low risk that will allow you to benefit from the growth in the stock market. And if you can do it at the right time and do it in a way that you're also getting paid on those securities in the form of dividends, that's even better, because you are building your wealth at the same time you are also saving for your future.
Now, when it comes to investing, I totally agree with you. And I like the order that you give. It's the IRA and then the brokerage account, right? Now, the reason is because, yeah, you want to save for your future self. But when it comes to the percentages, it's because the IRA has a limit, right? It's little bit over $7,000 that you can put into that account. There's no limit to how much you can put into your brokerage account. So you want to at least try to fund that IRA as much as you can so that you can grow that for your retirement, right? And then when it comes to your brokerage account, we're going to be working on that. Now, it also depends on what your goals are. If you have anything that's less than like 10 years before you want to retire, yeah, you're going to use more of that money that you want to put into your brokerage account, because that's an account that can help you maybe grow your money for a house, maybe grow your money for, I don't know, any short term to medium term things that you're going to need, and even long term things that you're going to need before retirement age. But because the IRA does have a limit on how much you can put in, and I think you have to be equal up to a point in terms of allocating the money. Again, this is not budgeting, but allocating your money to those two different accounts depending on the percentages you want. But you should definitely pick the IRA first and then do the brokerage account. But you should definitely do both.
Now, if you were looking at what's the next place you would put your money, where would you put it, Nicole? Because I know we get a lot of questions like, how can I invest if I'm also paying off debt? I know a lot of people have student loans. I know there's a lot of credit card debt out there. What would you say to those people if they say, I can't invest at the same time I'm paying off debt?
I think you can definitely do that. But again, that goes into not, let's just be honest, right? All the expenses that we have are not essential expenses,
I
right?
agree. Except
Now,
for your
there's
housing.
no, I'm saying there are certain ones that are definitely something that you need. You're gonna need food, you're gonna need clothes, you're gonna need a place to stay, and you're gonna need some form of transportation.
Hmm.
Now, be whatever transportation it is. Those things need to be covered, right? The lights as well. But other things, these are discretionary expenses. You don't need to eat out as much. You try not to use your credit card as much unless everything on your credit card is an essential. I don't think so. Okay. So, those things you have to understand, you have the money available if you start cutting expenses. Cut the non essentials. You don't need premium services for uh, Spotify or any type of XM radios. You don't need every channel when it comes to your cable. You don't need cable, actually. So, those things, even though it doesn't sound fun, if you cut those discretionary expenses, even if you just cut them by a little bit, you can put that money towards investing. Now, you always should be paying off debt as you are investing. I'm not saying for anyone to invest and never pay off your debt. That's not how it works. You have to pay your debt and you can invest at the same time, but the money amount that you're able to invest is going to differ depending on the amount of debt. If you owe someone money, that has to be a priority, but it doesn't mean that you have nothing left aside for yourself.
I agree. Like we've said before, don't let your past dictate your future. Your debt that you put on in the past should not be something that prevents you from investing. Now, I know a lot of people will say, well, I don't have any money to do the both of them at the same time. You really do. And then we're saying that if you cut your expenses, it doesn't have to be for a long time. But when you get in the groove of looking at things that you can actually live without, you can start putting more money down towards paying down your debt and investing at the same time. I'm telling you now, when I was living check to check and I started focusing on this, I made it a priority to see where I can cut costs. Like I was doing this in my early 20s. And I said to myself, you know what? I like going to the clubs and stuff. I live in New York City. I like hanging out. But what can I do to start cutting my costs? One, I don't drink a lot. So I didn't spend a lot of money on drinks in the club or anything like that. I would get to the club before there was a cover charge. And mainly for women, that is before a certain time and night that you can get into the club for free. Now, for guys, this might be a different situation. So you might have to find or be resourceful for different ways that you're going to make up the difference of what the expense you're cutting out and try not to have to sacrifice that much. But the thing is, the quicker you pay down that debt, the more money you can start plugging towards investing and more money you can start putting into those savings accounts like the fund account, like the vacation account, like the kids accounts, you know? So I'm telling you, it's worth it to start looking at places where you can start saving money and then putting that towards other priorities that mean more to you and will actually benefit your life. So don't look at it as sacrificing. Look at it as I'm prioritizing and I'm being more mindful of where I'm putting my money.
You made me think of something when it comes to paying off debt and investing. I think we need to make it clear to everyone Nadia and I are long term investors. We believe in using the market as long term growth. That's where you're going to see the most benefit.
Yep.
Now, with that type of mindset, I think people miss out by thinking it's an either or when it comes to debt and how long it takes to pay off debt and how long they're going to be out the market.
Yeah.
You can really make a huge dent if you focus on your debt for 1 year. You can make a huge dent, and guess what? If you're not able to invest that year, it's not a big deal. Because if
Mhm.
you look over a 20-year horizon, that money that you save, because truthfully, and Warren Buffett has said it, many people are saying the best return you can get on your money is to pay off your debt, because that's an instant 10, 15, 20% on your money. So that's the first thing. The best way to invest your money is to pay off your debt. That is an investment, okay? But just that time frame of 1 year of not investing and a 1 year of actually focusing on debt does not make a big difference in the long run if you understand you're in the long run in terms of investing. Now, if you're trying to do day trading or swing trading, yeah, you're not going to have the money available on that day or that week or that month to actually do some of these trades. But if you have a long term mindset when it comes to investing, and say, I'm using investing to build wealth and I'm not trying to swing home runs, I'm trying to hit base hits, that longer term time frame you have will allow you to prioritize how I'm going to pay off this debt and also not hurt myself when it comes to investing. So don't underestimate the value you get for paying off debt, not only monetarily wise, but also mentally. You're going to have a huge benefit. And just understand that 1 year of you paying off your debt and focusing on that to really put a big dent into that savings account, put a big dent into those investment accounts, it will be worth it as well.
Now, I think I think some people can benefit from the experiment that you've been doing lately, Nicole, when they're saying, "Look, if I want to invest, I got to invest a lot of money. I need to invest hundreds of dollars a month." What's the experiment that you're doing right now with a small amount of money that you've been doing for a couple of months? And I think we could probably give them the results later on, but this is just something that we're trying to do in the background so we can prove like you don't need a lot of money to start investing if you are letting that hold you back. Not that it's the amount of money that's holding you back, but maybe you're fearful of investing. So you're like, okay, maybe I don't want to risk this money. Let's see what you can do with a small.
Now, Nadia is up here letting my secret out. I'm running a little secret experiment in the background where I'm just investing $15 a month. I'm not going to tell you what I'm investing in, but just that action of putting 15, not $15 a month, I'm sorry, $15 a week into the account. That account is over a few $100s already, and it hasn't even been, I want to say, maybe 6 months now, maybe. But it really is to prove, and I'll share the numbers probably at the end of the year, how much I was able to get just by investing $15 a month and actually automating that process. And this is something anybody can do at any age. All right. Anybody who is working should be able to set aside at least $15 a week towards their future and towards investing. And like Nadia said, this experiment I'm running, I'm doing a very simple thing. And I just want to show and see if it's something we're talking about or is it something that really can be done with just $15 a week, how that can change your whole situation within just 1 year. And I'll post it maybe somewhere, but you're gonna find out the results of that experiment. But it's just $15 a week and automating the process.
Yeah, it only took less than 5 to 10 minutes to set this
Yeah.
up. And if you guys have brokerage accounts, they make it very easy for you to start automating your investing into a particular fund, into a particular account. It's much easier now. So don't let that stop you. And if you want more information about that, make sure you join our newsletter.
And if you want to find out what's going on in that community and really get the inside scoop on how I'm actually performing that experiment, then you should definitely join the WellPack newsletter and also learn more about the memberships, which we only share inside that newsletter community.
Yep.
Okay. So, Nadia, let me ask you, I've done a ton of talking. You let my secret experiment out, but I'm not upset. But with that, where's the next place? Someone should be putting their money when they get paid.
Um, I think the next place would probably be investing in some kind of business or in yourself. So when I say that, you don't necessarily have to put this into an investing account, right? You put it in an account that is specifically for you investing in your business or in yourself. When I say investing in yourself, that means investing in maybe your education, investing in things that will help you grow, or investing in your own business or someone else's business. Because this is really how you can really start using your money as a mechanism or as a tool to really grow and grow your wealth quickly, right? When I started my first business, I did it self funded. I created a cafe. I didn't borrow any loans from a bank. So I was in control of everything. I'm the kind of person that does not like people giving me orders. That's why I retired a long time ago. But it was helpful for me because I was able to see where my money was going, be resourceful, and really make sure that business worked and did not put me into some kind of bankruptcy or anything like that. I made sure that business paid for itself. And the way I did that was starting by self funding myself and then letting the business start funding the business on its own. And I think that would be helpful for a lot of people who are looking to start businesses because if you look at businesses, a lot of the reasons why they fail are probably main two reasons. One is money, and two is the processes. They don't have processes. When you have the money covered, you can start focusing on the processes to make it a lot easier for you to run that business, make the organization run smoother, and it doesn't require your time as much. So when you're not stressed about money and focused on how to make money for that business and paying everybody back, then you can focus on really operating that business in a way that's efficient for your time and in a way that is making money for you and growing as an asset for you.
You know, when you said investing in yourself, it actually made me think of something that I started recently. I used to feel a little guilty by outsourcing certain things, but I heard someone say, he said, your job is to make money that allows you to buy back your time,
Hmm.
right? And then you need to spend that time wisely. So I've started using money to actually buy back my time. This is once everything is covered and also that I've saved for myself, it's time to buy back my time so I can further invest in myself. And then as you're investing your time, you're actually helping other businesses grow. So it's kind of like a mutually beneficial situation. So that's a great way to buy back your time, but you have to spend it wisely. So I spend my time wisely by educating myself, by gathering new skills, right? And those things are that's a way to use your money as a tool to help you progress. And I think that's a big thing that people forget to where they put the money to.
If I'm looking at the places where I will put my money, once we have your retirement account, the money should be taken out before it even hits your bank account, right? Then you're putting that money into your savings account buckets. So not just one regular savings account, but buckets of savings account. And included in that should be an emergency savings fund, right? But you also are starting to invest and you're paying down debt. I think once you get to that point, have a little bit of money left over, circle back around and see how much more money you can start putting in those retirement accounts or possibly paying down more on the debt that you have before so you can start paying off that debt quicker. What do you think about that, Nicole?
Yeah, I agree. I think the thing that you might have I would add to that would be make sure you end up with technically zero that's left in your pocket
Yes.
because this goes back to allocation, right? If you don't have a place where your money is going to go, it's going to go
It's
somewhere
going to go
but you
somewhere.
just that you just don't know. So all those places that we're asking you to put these things your money in is for you to give your money a job and to actually put it somewhere because if it doesn't if you don't know where it's going to disappear, and money has a funny way of disappearing and is usually into someone else's pocket if you're
Exactly.
not actually in control of where you're putting your money in. Now I think a lot of people or some people might say, oh man, I got to be so disciplined to do this list is so long and it's going to be a lot of discipline I have to put in. I'm going to tell you now, everyone has discipline. You wake up every morning to go to work. You wake up every morning to make your coffee or your breakfast. You have discipline. But is what you're disciplined in actually benefiting you? That's another question you have to ask yourself. Does it serve you? Because if it doesn't, then you have to change your discipline to something else. We are all very disciplined. It's just where we're focusing that discipline in. So change the focus of where you're putting your discipline in to something that will serve you rather than hurt you.
I would argue to say that this doesn't require discipline at all. If you automate these things and you set these things up, most it would take you, it's probably an hour. And then you just go about your business because all your money is being allocated to buckets. And then whatever you see left over, you're like, okay, I can put that towards something extra now. Okay. Even if it's putting money towards helping other people, which you probably should, but it doesn't
You
take
say
a
you
lot.
probably should? Of
You-
course you should.
It depends on
But
the
you gotta
people.
make sure you take
It
care of
depends on the
yourself
people.
before you start
Take care of
taking care of others.
yourself, but you can help other people. But what I'm saying is that when you set this up and it's automated, it takes the discipline out of the equation, right? It takes a lot less time. The only discipline you really need is to set this up at the beginning, sit down, take a weekend, and just get this done. It doesn't even take a weekend, but just set some time aside, set this up, and you'll be grateful that you did this. This changed my life drastically. I went from not saving anything to having over $100,000 in my bank account in a short amount of time. And it was not because of the amount of money I was making, it was because what I was doing with this money. And then that was allowing me to roll that money into bigger things and invest in myself. You can do the same thing. This doesn't matter how much money you make. I've done this with employees that I've had working for me who are getting paid an hourly wage, to helping out friends and to helping out students on a wide range of salaries. And they've all been successful on this. It's about being mindful of where your money is going and making sure you prioritize your spending because, like Nicole said, someone will prioritize it for you, and most likely it's going to be benefiting them and not benefiting you. You might as well be the person benefiting from the work you're doing and the money you're being paid for that work.
I think this can all be summed up with the line I said earlier. Is your time worth a dime?
Is your
Right?
time worth a dime?
You got to make sure that you're at least saying the time you put into work is at least worth a dime of savings that's going to go towards you.
Mm-hmm.
Is your time worth at least a dime? If not, then you're just playing middleman. And that's just something you don't want to do because you'll never get out of any hole and you'll never see any benefit and you'll be working for nothing. So
Yeah.
if you want to work where at the one point where your money starts working for you, then put these things in place, automate it, get yourself out the way, remove the friction, and watch how these little base hits that you do will
Mm-hmm.
actually accumulate over time. We're not asking anyone to hit a home run. We're not asking you to dump a lot of money at once. Do this on a continuous basis, and those little base hits will be accumulating. And in the long run, you're going to see is night and day. Like Nadia's experience, I had the same experience. Is night and day. But you have to ask yourself, are you worth the time? And is your time worth the dime?
Yeah. And
Okay.
I will say this, we were loose with not telling you the percentages because, like everyone says, personal finance is personal. You may want to allocate more of your money towards debt because maybe that puts a high stress on you. So those percentages can be left up to you. But if you need more guidance in terms of percentages, we have videos on different budgeting styles that will help you at least get the foundation. And then you figure out how much you want to put in these buckets. But we're leaving it up to you to make sure you have your necessities covered and you have the stuff that you know is going to improve your life. And at the same time, you're taking care of your debt and investing in your future at the same time. So if you like this kind of content, make sure you subscribe to the channel and share this video with a friend. And we'll see you in the next episode.